evening and welcome to another exciting show. And tonight we've got Dawn Lester next to me, who's a fellow Hertfordshire person. So it's going to be a good show tonight because people from Hertfordshire, we're the elite, aren't we? Really?
Yeah. It's good to be back. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Dawn. And I've really been looking forward to this show because we both sing from the same hymns. Well, we're on the same sort of level, aren't we? When I say level, what's the word? I get all my words in a mucking fuddle tonight. We actually are on the same page. That's what I mean with our views and things about healthy things. And tonight we've got a lot in chat. We just have a quick look in chat, see who's in there. Let's have a look. We've got Mark Anthony wins the prize this week. He was on at 7:47, but you still don't beat Bob, who was actually on at 6:30 in the morning. I don't think he was waiting all that time. That's good evening, Chris. That's it. And we've got Cat Holly. We've got, I was so late last week. I'm out to impress by being early bird. That's good. No lines this week. See, so no detention. So that's it. You're spot on time. There we got.
And I'm impressed.
Very impressed. Yes. What do you think? Brownie points? I would think so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Lots of brownie points.
Looking forward to the show. Yes, so am I. And then we got Ali Bev, evening all. Then we've got Shanti Om, good evening. Good evening. And then
good evening.
Aunt Sally. Hello, Aunt Sally. Way. And then we got Chris the Gardener. Hello, mate. Hello, Chris. By the way, don't tell him, but he's on next week, but you haven't told him yet, you see, so keep it quiet, all right? So it's between us two. Don't, he's on next week. Kicking and screaming. And then we got evening folks, and that's Ralph Winter. So thank you very much, everybody. And we go back into chat a little bit later. Now, hang on, let's get that. Here we go. Now, Dawn, we all sort of, some things happen in life which form and make us go in all different directions. And can you first of all sort of tell us a little bit of a background about yourself? I know that you co-authored the book. I called it to get away with the censorship on YouTube, What Really Makes You Tom and Dick, which is company rhyming slang for ill or sick. But you co-authored that fantastic book, which is absolutely really thick, isn't it? Here it is. A good plug. That's it. That's the one. What Really Makes You. Yes. Now that's a book. I believe it took over 10 years to write, didn't it?
Yes, thereabouts. It was finding out about certain aspects of the health system, and the more we found out, the more we realized, no, we need to keep digging deeper. We need to provide as much supporting evidence for what we're saying, because we haven't got the letters that many people would expect somebody who's writing a book about that subject. And I am choosing my words carefully. Yeah.
All you have to do is go overseas, you see, and you can buy the letters and that, off the shelf, yes. A couple of £1,000, and you can come back and you can, you've got all your the papers that you've got.
There was a time when they could actually do that in this country as well, because a chap called Edward Jenner, who is responsible for certain pointy instruments being used. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. He's regarded as a hero, but he's everything but, and he's often given all kinds of accolades. I'm not getting them mixed up, I know. Yeah.
Yes.
But he wasn't. Yeah. So, I mean, we have these so-called heroes on pedestals, and then when you actually start looking at it, those pedestals get, quite easily kicked Oh, it is all about that, because it's to do with how you can control people. And if you can get people to follow, and I'm sure this is going to be a theme running through what we talk about this evening, when you can get people to be afraid and trust the so-called experts or authorities, or the idea that there are authorities, exactly, you know, kind of somebody just puts on a white coat and appears to be you know, a scientist or
Also,
doctor.
you've got to hold the lapel as well. You always got to hold the lapel and go,
Oh,
well, that's the part of the acting, I think, that comes over. But,
yes, yes. So anyway, it was, you know, digging deep and into the history of everything because of all of that, that it just ended up taking longer, because, you know, we wanted it to cover as much as possible. And then, of course, we had to go into what's behind it, who's behind it, how it all kind of got started, how it works, how it has convinced people to follow narratives that, if they actually bothered using their critical thinking. The thing is, of course, that this ties into education system, which doesn't teach people to think critically, and that's why there's a lot of what's been going on in the last few years with all that nonsense, that, you know, many people haven't had the capability of being able to see beyond what they've been told. And of course, it's all fear-based, which is again sort of where the sort of title for this episode, you came up with that, because it is about not being in the fear thing, you know, and that's very much a control mechanism. I mean, you know, anyway, as I say, we can talk loads about that, because it's so important for people to kind of come out of that. But it's just this, the conditioning, kind of like, you know, when you're thrown all this fear, you can do this. People are decent. You know, I really believe most people are decent. And so when they've been told, oh, you know, you could hurt somebody else, they go, oh, well, I don't want to do that. So what do I have to do? But, you know, it just stops people trusting themselves. Anyway, gone around all sorts of places, but yeah.
I mean, I went to the dentist. I do actually go to the dentist, and I was sitting there, and they've got fear porn all the way around. And I mean, I remember when my late parents, when I used to take them down to the doctors, or quacks as I call it, the whole wall was festooned with fear porn. You know, sort of. Did you scratch your nose the other day? Well, you could be suffering from. And you know, and did you trip up the pavement? Well, you could be suffering from dementia, which is very, you know. And,
yeah, that's a big one.
Yes, it's a nice little, you know. But what we was talking about before the show, I mean, I did a show that YouTube loved so much they took it down about the foundation of the NHS. And how it's not exactly what we're told it was. And the person that was the architect of it, not the founder of it, who was William Beveridge, he was, and you can look this up on Wikipedia, it's on there. And of course, he was the second in command of the Eugenicist Society, and Winston Churchill was the first in command. And that who has worked out something to do with being fit and you know. And that's it. And I don't know how I can actually say the next bit in shorthand, but shall we say the health of the nation when the NHS started to go up. See, if you look at the statistics. Then 1955 it went, and rationing after World War II was more severe than during World War II. And people were actually having a very good diet, believe it or not, because it was worked out by nutritionists. But then in 1954, SUGAR, came off of rationing, and 1955, sweet stuff. But 1955, the health of the nation just went, and it's been continuing to go that. Wonder why. Can't see any link there. Can you, Dawn? I just
No. The other thing is, like you say, rationing, and I mean, I wasn't around then. I don't know when rationing stopped. I am aware that during the war, a lot of people were, growing their own food, that kind of thing. So they weren't relying on shop stuff, and obviously certain things were more. Let's just say the sort of what are regarded as luxuries. You know, certainly like the sort of sweet things or whatever were less easily available. So I kind of from what I've read, and so people were eating more kind of locally produced foods, and that seems to somehow help people be a little bit healthier than they would otherwise be. And so it's not surprising, and it's I know this might shock a few people, but it isn't. The health improvements weren't because of the dearly beloved NHS, I'm afraid. It was to do with, I mean, and again, post-war, probably the relief that the war was over would have taken the stress away. That would have changed. So yeah, the thing is, there's never one factor that affects our health, and there's always sort of combinations, and that's why and also we aren't all the same. So that's why there's we're not just uniform kind of machines and we're all the same. So this one change affects everybody in the same kind of way. So there's just that's why there are differences, and some people fare better than others in certain ways, and that's that's the complete opposite of the way the system likes to view us as just these kind of automaton and machines, and we're just kind of machines that just with bits and pieces and that function, and you can just cut out like a machine, you sort of cut a bit out, put something else in, and it doesn't matter. Well, that's just so wrong. So wrong. We are far more than that. Sorry, pardon?
Well, it is because it's one size fits all, and this is what gets me. Is that I call these people thickademics. There are thickademics, people that have got they've got an incredible brain to remember these things, but they can't use it in practicality. I mean, I worked with a thickademic who was an engineer, structural engineer. And his mummy and daddy had bought him his qualifications, I think, because he was thick as two short planks. I kid you not, it's a hot summer's day, and he couldn't work out how to fold a piece of paper up to wedge it under the door to make a door wedge. And he'd go, yes. And we folded a piece of paper up, wedged it under the door. And he kept his job, I don't know how, because his mummy and daddy, or his daddy, was friends with a senior person in the place where we worked. But it was... And he was a typical thickademic, as thick as two short planks. And there are these people that are swanning around in government and swanning around all over the place. Well, I would say it's 100% in government. I think that's part of the qualifications to become in the government. You've got to be a thickademic, And really, what annoys me with everything to do with conventional HEALTH is that it's all like, as you said, robots. It's all sort of you're all the same. You've got to have this, you've got to have that. And what I like about, for example, when I go and see Miles, and hopefully he's coming on soon, Miles Fleetwood, Dr. Fleetwood, that's in Abbey Health Foods, the attitude is completely different. People go into him and they're absolutely terrified. They've just went to their local quack and he's put the fear of God up them. And I've actually been in, because I often go and see him, and they go in there and you see them trembling. And he says, hang on, I think we can do something here. And he explains everything to them. It's all relaxed and all calm and everything. He says, and the most incredible miracle I saw was a chap who's actually a young man that actually had a stroke. And he's only in his 20s or 30s. And he was sitting there, and he often gives people free acupuncture. He's got all these needles and all like various parts of his anatomy. And he's sitting there and he's going, my hand, I can keep feeling back into it. Okay. And I was almost in tears. I was really sort of, oh, this is fantastic. And Miles is speaking to another customer, and he's looking at a book, and he looks over his glasses. yes, we'll do. Yes, and carries on talking. It's very matter of fact, as this fella almost, way, and as me going, oh, isn't that fantastic? And as him sort of, yeah, we'll get feeling back into it. Yes, and he carries on talking.
That's it, because that's normal for that's a natural sort of outcome that he would be seeing on a regular basis, that and also his attitude as well, just that calm attitude. If I mean, that accounts for an awful lot. There was a thing of the doctor sort of the bedside manner, although they don't go anywhere near people's bedsides anymore.
No.
So the bedside, just sometimes it's just knowing that somebody cares about you, rather than just being treated as just okay, you're come in, list of symptoms, machine, piece of paper, take that to the pharmacy, goodbye, see you, whatever. And people don't feel cared about, and that's hugely important. And certainly over the last few years, there's been a lot of missing care. There's a lot of lack, this, yeah.
I'd say it's sadistic, quite honestly. I mean, there are a few genuine people, yes, there are a few, but they're usually rushed off their feet, whilst the rest of them are lazy and couldn't give a damn, basically.
I know the people who go into that system, the NHS, whatever. I'm sure the vast majority, if not all of them, go in with a good heart, with good intentions, because they want to help people. Unfortunately, once they are trained, they're trained in a completely wrong paradigm, and so they're working from the wrong place. So they're never going to achieve the outcome that they joined that system for, because it's not based on achieving that outcome. It's not based on achieving health, even though it's the letter H is supposed to stand for that. Unfortunately, it's not a health system.
Well, you're right. I mean, a good book to, I guess you're well aware of it, is Eustace Mullins, and you can download it free of charge now, a PDF. Murder by.
Yeah.
Yes.
The I word. Yes. I have a copy of that. I have a copy of the PDF of that. I mean,
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's. I grabbed as much as I could find, and in many ways, I'm really pleased. Got a huge digital library, as well as I mean, it's not a huge library, but there's a significant number of books. Just to get as much information available, because the censorship is increasing. I hope that's not a bad word. Yeah.
The thing is that, I mean, I don't know what it is about me, but I tend to set the klaxons off at YouTube HQ far easier than other people. I don't know quite what it is about me. I don't think they like me. Was it against our community standards? But no, really, when you think about it, I think we're programmed to look for a leader. And I've often said, if you want to find that leader, look in the mirror, because it's looking back at you, because the responsibility for our well-being is our responsibility. And if we deal with it calmly, and as I was saying, I used to have blood pressure was through the roof, and I was so disgusted. I mean, this was about 2 years ago with what happened. I've actually never to go back to a quack again. And what I do, I don't even put a machine on my wrist now. I know when my blood pressure's high, a little bit high, I deal with it calmly. And I know, and I always think the best person to understand you is you. How comes, you can go and see a complete stranger you've never seen before, and they're supposed to know all about you? No, they don't. I mean, it's like a car mechanic, I mean, cars are produced on a production line, yes, so something falls off, they don't have to put it back again. But humans, we're all different.
Completely. And at the same time, it's not just the sort of physical body, because there's so much more, the emotion. And again, even blood pressure, these numbers, the idea that there's a normal is highly dubious, because during the course of the day, if it was measured, if it was measured regularly, you'd find it would be going up and down, and that's okay. It's not like there's a number and your body stays at that number all the time. Just like anything, they're like emotions. There's sort of ups and downs, and we change all the time. And who's to say that the number that they choose is the right one? We're all different, and just there is no such thing as normal, and
right.
they're creating it. Now, that's not to say that raised blood pressure might not feel uncomfortable, so there's something else, but it's not the blood pressure per se that's the problem. It's a message or indicative of something else. So there's something else, and that's something else, that underlying something else may well be a bit different for each of us. There could be a few different possibilities of things that might trigger that kind of feeling of high pressure. And again, stress is one of them. And literally, they know that people who, when they visit the office of the GP or whatever, and just trying to be careful, if they go and see somebody to get that measured, they're more likely to be stressed, and so it's more likely to be high. And there are a few people that know this, and so they're kind of go, okay, well, go and sit outside for 10 minutes, calm down, and then come back in and we'll try it again. And sometimes it can be significantly lowered. At the same time, the blood pressure number per se is not a problem. It's something else. So just trying to lower that number doesn't solve the something else. There's an underlying something else, and that's what that's not what they're trained to look for. They're just looking at the numbers, just like everything else. They're looking at symptoms. They're looking to manage the symptoms.
It's spot on. It's spot on, because you see, the thing is, I'm just a naturally sort of a stress sort of person anyway, and mine was just nerves. I suffer from bad nerves, so I've learned how to deal with that, and also with the help of acupuncture, and I take natural tablets, which are totally 100% natural, because there's a difference between when you take vitamin tablets, there's a difference between natural ones and artificial ones, a big difference in price as well. And I take beetroot and things like that, and make sure. But and as I say, I do know sometimes I think, oh dear, it's high, but I don't get stressed out about it. I just calm down.
Yes.
Just calm down, because I think I'm naturally, I do suffer from bad nerves, as you can probably see. So that's why I kind of, you understand yourself. That's the real answer to the thing. And my attitude, if you went to the quack and you said, oh, I've got pains in my feet, you get seen to all the specialists possible. You know what it might be? You need an extra large shoe size. And that's what they call, they're not qualified to see. Oh, we need a bigger pair of shoes. Oh, that's the problem. Problem solved. There it is.
Well, the other thing is that something that turns up as an issue in the feet might not be anything to do with the feet. It might be something to do with another part of the body that just radiates down to the feet, because our bodies are, it's an interconnected system. It's not, bits and pieces. But if you've got a pain in your foot, you'll be sent to a foot quack. Rather than somebody who understands the body as a holistic system. And that's where that system is just completely wrong. As I say, it's not necessarily, it's not the people, it's the system, it's the way they're trained, and so they haven't got another way of looking at it. More and more are, though. There's changes are happening. More and more people are looking.
Yeah, sorry, please carry on.
No, I was saying more and more people are looking to more holistic people who recognize the body as a holistic system, who are looking at things more naturally, and again also looking at not necessarily thinking there's a problem if you have symptoms. And that's the other major bone of contention, that if you have symptoms, that means you have a problem. Well, for the vast majority of cases, if not all of them. So again, I'm leaving the window open in case there are some. The symptoms are indicative of something else, deeper down or whatever it is, so there's the acute symptoms where, kind of the normal minor conditions that, get labels such as colds and flus. And then there are more chronic conditions, and they tend to be indicative of longer term issues. And again, not there are there are certain exceptions. So I'm not going to generalize. It's not to take what I'm saying as covering everything. And also, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm merely sharing the information I've discovered, and it's just, this is what I found, that there are a variety of different conditions, and they're given labels, and the labels are not helpful for all sorts of reasons, because labels, people then attach to a label and then make it part of their identity, and that I feel is a big problem, because then they don't recognize that there's something else to look at. So like the high blood pressure label, oh well, I've got high, so there's nothing I can do about it, instead of recognizing that symptomatic of something underlying. So like you kind of like, oh, okay, I need to do more things that help me calm down. I need to just sit and relax, listen to calm music, go out, hug a tree, maybe, if just do calming, relaxing things. Go out, watch I don't know, go to the seaside, watch the sea lapping on the shore, watch a river, just being out in nature and just taking time out. And that's
a healer.
And that's part of the healing process, or part of the restoring more harmony. I was going to say balance, because balance actually is flatline. We're sort of harmony, because we aren't supposed to be kind of like that all the time, but it's not. It's the highs and lows are quite extreme. So it's more to have that kind of like a sine wave kind of you move, like the emotions kind of move around, and you just kind of go with it, but they're not too extreme.
Well, what we have, I mean, we're going to bring it back, is at the beginning of the show, we used to have healing. And there used to be someone, we'd say someone's Tom and Dick, they're not quite well this week. And we'd have a sort of like a couple of minutes where we would all sort of focus on to healing somebody. And in two cases, it sort of worked, because we've got a chappie in Siam, who's English, he's over in Siam. And he said he felt a hell of a lot better. He didn't know it because of the time difference that we was doing this. And he felt a hell of a lot better at that special time. And there was somebody else that felt they felt a lot better. And I've actually had a faith healing done. Now, I'm not religious, although I like to believe I'm spiritual. And that is absolutely unbelievable, faith healing. It really is. You can actually feel a kind of buzz and energy that's going in. I don't know what it is. I'd love to do it. I'd love to know how to do it, because it's fantastic. And it put a certain something into me. I don't know what the heck it was, but it certainly did the trick. Whoever or whatever it was, I'd like to thank.
Well, you use
whatever is on there in the ether,
You use the right word, energy, and that's really it's based on that. And our energy, we are energy beings, if you like, or we're beings of energy, and we are, in sort of the wider context, we are all connected outside of space and time, as this place we call the world.
Anyway, shall we have a quick whiz into chat? Have a quick,
sure.
We'll have a quick. Yeah. Now we got Nathan the Sias. Oh wait, I was pronounced. It's Nathan there, and he's probably saying, silly shot, he got my name wrong. Let me say Nathan. Hiya, Chris P, Chris the Gardener, Dawn, and all in chat. Hope you are well and having a good day. Yes, he's a regular on the show, Nathan. You see him there. And we've got here Dan MC. Yes. Yes, I agree. I won't read it out, but and the other one is, was it the science is settled? Science could never be settled. Science is moving all the time, because if the science is settled, let's think, science settled. The
Science science is actually just a word for sort of learning about who and what we are. So it can't ever be settled, because that suggests that there's nothing left to learn, and that's nonsense.
well, it's a religion, isn't it? I believe it's a religion, because science is brilliant for, well, making computers and doing what we're doing here. Well, marvelous. Like, to make nice cars and aeroplanes and whatever. But when it
Well,
comes
that's
to the human being,
technology.
different. That's technology. That's right. But it's
Yeah,
also
I mean,
science.
well, yeah, there are, yeah, a lot of what's called science isn't science. So
Good
yeah.
point. Good point. Yeah, you brought something up there I didn't realise. Because I always thought, oh, it's all sort of science, but no, you're right. It is technology. You've got a good point there. Thank you.
So
Yes.
I wasn't correcting. It's just kind of, this stuff.
Oh, no, I like to be corrected, because I've actually, that's how we learn. This is what the show's about. People put stuff in chat. I mean, I've said things that are wrong, different ideas, and people in chat have corrected me. So look, this. So I'm not worried about that. That's what it's. This is what the show's
And
about. I
and
like
if
that.
somebody's got, comment on anything I've said, yeah, please share. Yeah, absolutely.
The fear porn is Aunt Sally. The fear porn is a projection into the psyche of the people that believe it. It took me the last couple of years to realise the scale of the deception. Yes, yes. Because I mean, I look on news as a pantomime, and I believe they shouldn't say it's the news. It's what we want you to believe. Good evening. We're going to read out what we want you to believe. It's not the news. Never has.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Edward Bernays had it right in 1928 when he brought out his book. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to mention that word. Can we say that?
Propaganda.
Yeah, oh, that one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what his book is called, and it starts off with, in chapter 1, the conscious manipulation of the masses. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, some people interpret that as saying, oh, well, that's just about, marketing, selling. Yeah, well, to a certain extent, because you want to influence people to buy your stuff. But of course, it's much deeper than that, we know. And they've just been playing on that. Well, they were playing on it before, but they've been playing on that ever since.
You're right. You're right. And we've got Nathan again. I really eat. I really. He's a bit of a comedian here. I really eat healthily. Pot noodles. I never get sick. Gee, joking. Well, kinda. I do eat them occasionally. Monosodium glutamate. That's it, isn't it?
Well,
That's typical Nathan. He's good sense of humour.
I kind of think we have to be careful about being so strict, although I'm not suggesting that pot noodles are a healthy kind of food or whatever. It's to be aware of how you feel about the food, and in some ways, really, it's more about how you feel about what you're eating. I mean, yeah, because this could be misinterpreted. So I'm not suggesting that, oh, junk food's good for you. I'm not saying that at all. It is to bear in mind how we feel about our food. So if you are looking at a plate of food and you're really looking forward to eating it, that it really inspires you, then you're going to be putting that energy, that kind of good energy into your body. Whereas if you've got something in front of you, no matter how technically healthy it may be, if you just go, don't fancy that, you're putting that into your body. So are you really loving your body if you're putting something into it that you're ambivalent about? So however, that's not saying I'm not endorsing those kinds of foods at all, because they wouldn't be nourishing. What I mean is in terms of our attitude towards what we eat, not just what's on the plate. It's how we feel about it as well.
I know you mean. I know what you mean. I mean, my granddad used to say, "Little of what you fancy does you good." And it is in a way. I mean, my weakness is shortbread biscuits. I have a weakness for them. I mean, if you wanted to tempt me into anywhere, they go, people have to get a shortbread biscuit. I go, come on, in you come, in you come. You know, oh, even the talk of shortbread biscuits, I've just got this weakness for them. I love them. But the thing is, I mean, there's a lady on Facebook. She's very slim, and she eats loads and loads of cake. And she believes in the power of mind, positive thought, and she just loves cake, so she eats cake. But yeah. So
Yes, I mean
I
it's
wouldn't
more than
advise
just it's more than just positive thought, and it is that though the how we think about things. I still wouldn't suggest that long term just eating cakes. However, I've not tried it, so you know.
that's it. We get a sugar high, wouldn't you? You go through the roof with sugar, and your teeth. I think you'd have to. Hello, everyone. It's CEO Day, so hello, and we've got here answer. He said the main thing that bothers me is that with the professionals are also generally deceived to promote what junk the certain people are peddling. Yes, I agree with you there, Aunt Sally. Absolutely. Well, they're reps, aren't they, really? And Sebastian Moran has come up with a beauty. The 3-letter murder machine. What a beauty. Absolute genius, that one is. The 3-letter murder machine. Yes. And
yes, and it's okay. Yes.
Nathan, he's got one better. That I would 100% agree there. 100% agree. Yeah.
I just know that you know a lot of the people that work there are are caring. It's just they like I said, they just don't have the tools. So but at certain levels they know what's going on, and they are responsible for keeping this system going, and it's just getting worse. And of course they're trying to make the system, and certainly in this country, be inefficient, so that they get everyone up in arms going, oh, save the doing out their protests and all their banners, and oh, we've got to save, which of course isn't not in the way that it exists. It does, as we were saying before, it does have its uses in terms of if you were some kind of physical, have an accident, and some kind of physical injury, they are able to help people kind of get back together. They still lack a number of protocols to help people's bodies help heal themselves, because they use all kinds of anti-type substances that are not necessarily beneficial, but that's the system.
I agree with you. I mean, I believe that my grandfather and a good friend of mine, and both my parents were finished off by the 3-letter word. I'm positive they were. This is these people, shall we say, the nasty, hellish Satanists. Yes, I think they were finished off. I'm pretty sure. And someone here from the Dawn Leicester fan club. S. Potter says, great guest, Eric. Yes, I agree. Very great guest here. Then we got.
Thank you.
Arrange, Dan MC. No, sorry, mate. Are you on the magic mushrooms? I don't quite get that one. Yeah, but anyway, we'll range. Okay. Sid Precious says, all right, Eric and friends. Hang on, just I think we're all right. Yes, we're okay. Yes. Now we got here. Got Nathan says, so what really makes me angry about the people is that they don't care less. They don't care less. But once a year, absolutely hell bent on getting you in for a monitoring appointment. When I refuse, they get nasty. Well, it's a bit difficult for my lot too, because they haven't even got my phone number. I haven't seen it for years. now? It says here.
Yes, that's one of the ways they do that with the, oh, come in and get the this, that, and the other checked, because, oh, catch it early. I was like,
Oh yeah, oh yes, and I mean, and it's always fit. I always forget your name, Eric. Yeah, well, it's Chris. Oh, we got another one for your fan, Dawn. If you could put a holistic kit together, what are the best natural treatments that would be recommended? That's a good one. That's from Esther Potter.
well, as I said, I can't give, what could be construed as advice. And at the same time, it depends on what you're talking about in terms of the treatments. And, if you've got fever, runny nose, cough, whatever, it doesn't require treatment apart from a bit of rest, keep yourself hydrated, and don't panic, don't worry, don't give it a label, and you'll be over it in a couple of days, because it's just your body's normal processes of detoxification, or just clearing, or just maybe your body's a bit tired or something. So I mean, there's all sorts of reasons. So I wouldn't suggest anything needs to be used in those circumstances. And certainly what has been claimed has been the problem in the last few years. I mean, most of the time it hasn't been. It's not a real problem anyway. There are people who have symptoms, but it's thinking that you've got to suppress the symptoms. You don't get better by stopping symptoms. You get better by allowing your symptoms to just take their natural course, because that's what the body does. So recognize that there's nothing to be treated if you're talking about these kind of minor ailments, which I think is what a lot of people experience. I say they're not even ailments, just they're just sets of symptoms. So headache, fever. I mean, if sometimes, and it's rare, but occasionally I might have a bit of a headache, and I know that just means I need to rest. So I'm kind to myself, take some time out and just rest. And generally it's gone. So I wouldn't take anything for that to stop it, because I just know it's there for me. And exactly what you were saying before, that we should listen to our own body and learn its messages, learn what the body's telling us, learn how to recognize how we actually feel. And the thing is that we take these things so we can keep on, and so you're pushing your body, and that of course puts it under greater strain. So I mean, rest, hydration are two of the main things, keeping, and again we're talking clean water. So fresh air, sunshine when you can, taking time out, de-stressing, reducing the fear. But I mean, I know there are a lot of reasons for being stressed at the moment. It's to try not to let it overwhelm you. So again, it's just taking time out. So
be kind to yourself, I think, is what you're really saying, because and
yeah,
do what you like doing. Because if I need exercise, I mean, I'm a bit of a petrol head. I do like driving. I do like cars, but also like cycling. I don't go to the gym or anything like that, so I get on my push bike. And but the only one trouble is if it's chucking it down with rain, I don't get on my push bike. But now this is a good one.
So to really, so it's not. I don't have treatments. I mean, I have started looking into what are called cell salts, tissue salts. So again, that's related to when you're born, and and these are minerals in homeopathic doses. I mean, it's not homeopathy as such, but they're homeopathic doses that and because we are exposed to things that upset our body's natural balance, and so these are minerals that help rebalance. So again, it's not a treatment. It's almost like just part of your daily, in the same way that you take water to hydrate, you kind of just take the cells.
But the thing is, when you look at water, for example, around where, well, we're in Hertfordshire, I don't know what it's like where you are, but it's 340 parts per million. And people say, what you say is parts per million. I'd like to know what they are, because I don't know what they are, but it's a mystery. But 340 is pretty high, and that's why. And I haven't got shares in zero water filter, I assure you, but that's why I actually got the zero water filter, and because it actually filters fluoride as well, so you don't get any of that. But I've noticed there's a new kid on the block now called Phoenix, and their water filters are made in India, and they're shipped over, and they filter out fluoride, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what their website is. Again, I haven't got shares in them. I'm not plugging anything or anything like that. But from a natural point of view, I think that the old people, like my grandparents and people like that. I mean, my granddad always used to take sulfur tablets in the spring, because he said your blood, now whether your blood thins out or not, I don't know, but he said it thins out in the summer and gets thicker in the winter, a bit like engine oil. I don't know. Perhaps somebody in chat will be able to back me up on that. But he used to take sulfur tablets in the springtime, but the one that I swear by is I take when the dandelions come out. Now they'll be out pretty soon, and dandelions, you can eat every part of a dandelion, they're perfectly safe, as long as you wash it, obviously, and it's above dog cocking level. But, use a bit of something. But the thing is, this dandelion's a bit salty, isn't it? And these little things that is full of what we do need. We're one of very few mammals that do not produce our own vitamin C. And I have Lambert's vitamin C. You take 2 tablets a day, one in the morning, one in the evening, and they slow release. And they don't really know why we can't produce vitamin C, where other mammals can, which is very strange. But we don't.
There are a few. There are a few that don't. Guinea pigs. There are a few monkeys, I think, because we looked into that. Before we kind of go too far off with the water, I mean, I agree. I've heard that zero water filters are really good. I don't use that. I've got a water distiller, and I don't have shares, or I don't have any affiliate links or anything. But the one I use is called Make Water Pure, the distiller, and that's based in the UK. And I mean, I wouldn't dream of not doing something to the water, because there are some times when turn on the tap and the water runs, and you can smell the chlorine. I mean, it's just awful.
Well, it's most polluted around it. I mean, the line scale, I don't know whether it's a similar to you, there's line scale everywhere. You just can't get rid of it. But I actually I've got some water butts outside my garden next to a shed, and they're minging. They haven't been washed out for a long time. They really are minging. And I've got one of these water testers, and with zero water, I can swear by it. I think it's brilliant. And the little tip is, I've made mine, it used to only last 3 weeks in this area. I've made mine last 2 months. And the way you make it last, because I thought this is a bit expensive every 3 weeks, the way you make it last is I had some old Brita filters left over. And what I do, I decant water from the tap into a jug, then from the jug into the Brita, and from the Brita into the, which are a fraction the price of zero water filters, into the zero water filter, and it lasts 2 months.
Right. Well, I actually filter the water from the tap before I put it into the distiller, because otherwise you have to keep descaling it as well. So I do the 2-step just to, to sort of keep the distiller from needing to be descaled so often. I mean, as you say, the scaling is just awful. So yeah, I mean, we do all sorts of things. In terms of vitamin C, though, I don't personally. I don't, it's just my choice. I don't take anything. I do eat foods that have got, so-called and so-called vitamin C. Again, there are question marks over what vitamin C really is, and this is the thing. Once we start unlearning what we've been conditioned to believe, we start looking at certain things that we thought were true and start finding that maybe even the kind of alternative way may not be quite as correct as that we may think. So it's not, it's all a learning process, because we've just had so long that we've learnt this old system, and just the kind of trust these white coats, that we haven't been questioning things. And now there are a lot of people questioning some of the other ideas, including about certainly what vitamins are, and looking at the way they've been isolated is not a natural process. They do all kinds of processes and then say, hey, look, we've got this, whatever it is, and give it a name. So I'm not saying there isn't benefit to be gained from foods and certain things that are natural. At the same time, I'm just not sure at the moment whether it's quite as we're told. So again, I'm not saying people should not take things. At the same time, be open-minded to look at even more natural ways, which I would suggest is the food. But of course, we know the food is messed around with, and the air and the soil is messed around with. So again, we have to look at new whatever ways we can to keep everything as clean as possible, and killing the little so-called invisible enemies, when they're not our enemy, they're actually our friends. It's the wrong way as well, because we aren't, the world isn't sterile, we aren't sterile. All these so-called invisible enemies are in fact part of a major part of an ecosystem, and we rely on them. They are absolutely essential. So everyone's coming from the completely wrong view of we've got to kill them, and go, no, they're your friend.
I agree, but you see, back to water, I was going to say is that I did a test on my minging water that came out of my minging.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
And now remember, it's 340 parts per million that comes out the tap. No, and I can't remember the exact number now, and I did mention it on other programs, so if I'm wrong, it was around about 5 or 6 parts per million. I tested it again from another barrel, yes, but those 6 parts are probably the worst sort of cholera or something, worst things you could drink, but I couldn't believe it. 6 or 5 or somewhere around about that figure. And if you've got one of those, if you've got a water barrel, try it and you'll be shocked. But that is absolutely incredible, because I was thinking of making my own filter, because you can do it from special charcoal, which you use in aquariums and sand and things like that. And you can filter water that way, because if push comes to shove, I would use that water, but filter it through the zero water filter, which is not really intended. They said, not from water barrels, it's intended to come from tap water. I'll make that clear. And this is just my belief. I'm not giving medical advice or anything like that, but a perfect example of where they got things wrong was typhoid. Now, before Dr. Snow discovered that it wasn't airborne, people walking around with these nappies on and frightened of being near each other and all this. And what he did, he took the handle of, you know about this, off the water, and suddenly the cases of typhoid dropped like a stone, because it was the polluted water. And then my hero came along, Sir Joseph Bazalgette, who nobody's hardly ever heard of, who saved a man who saved countless thousands, millions, we will never know. And he cleaned London up with a modern sewer, well, as of Victorian times, he cleaned the Thames up, the sewer system up, and had clean water that people could drink. And why is it that we never hear of Joseph Bazalgette? What an amazing man. And one man saved, we don't know how many lives he saved. But
absolutely. Yeah. And I would add that the pollution has got nothing to do with bacteria. It's not that they were the problem. They were there to help clean it up. It was the pollution from the dead and dying matter. There would have been animal wastes, human wastes, all kind of nasty stuff that they are not meant to be re-ingested, and the body would do everything it can to kind of eject. And that's why people had those symptoms that were given that label, and it's nothing to do with the bacteria. I'm trying to think of is it the street, was it Brook? No, it wasn't Brook Street. Anyway, yes, no, I know the John Snow. I know about that, and he took the handle off, and so they weren't using. Was it Broad? No, anyway, he took the handle off, so they weren't using that water, and it was dreadfully polluted. But it's nothing to do with. It wasn't polluted by bacteria. Bacteria were there to clean up, because that's what they do. They do that in the environment. They're the cleanup agent. They break down and decompose. I mean, they're used as in bioremediation of all kinds of toxic substances. Some of them break down, and even some of the ones that we're told make us ill, like E. coli. They're used for breaking down matter. They are essential. Bacteria are essential. Without them, we wouldn't be alive. So
sewage farm is very, very natural, very eco. The old sewage farms, they're very natural. It's just naturally broken down. I know that if you have come on, brain. If you're not on the mains unit, you have a cesspit. That's the word I was looking at.
Yeah.
I worked with a chap who had a cesspit, and he said that when he went on holiday, he got his neighbours to throw a bar of chocolate in there to keep the bacteria alive. And he said, you've got to keep the bacteria alive in there. And he had reeds growing around it. And he said it was clean water that's on top. But he said, if you don't flush your toilet if you went on holiday for 2 weeks, he got his neighbours, he bought some chocolate. And he said, I've chucked some chocolate in once every, so often to keep the bacteria alive, or flush some toilet down. Flush some chocolate down the loo. And and that's what they did. But it's a very, it is quite an amazing system. I mean, I'm very much into gardening. I like gardening, and I like to grow my own food. And what you can do, I mean, I'm not a great lover of celery, but if you buy celery from the supermarket, it tastes like watered string. But if you cut the bottom off of it and you put it in water and leave it in water for a week or two, and then you plant it, it grows fresh celery stalks. I cut those celery stalks off, and I have them, and they are absolutely delicious. They're really peppery. The taste, wow. And that's all you have to do. It's so simple that you do. And I regrow celery, I regrow cabbages, which are organic. Then I don't regrow carrots, because you only get one carrot. It's not really worth it. But you can grow those two things, and you'll be amazed. The thing that's difficult is beetroot doesn't grow very well. And also, Chris the gardener, he says spuds, and this is Chris's tip that he got. This is Chris the gardener. Here he is. That was his tip. His tip for me. I don't know whether it's like where you are, but if I was a snail farmer, I'd be very rich. My garden is a snail and slug knocking shop. It's a population explosion of them, because we don't have many hedgehogs now, because hedgehogs used to keep the population down. Chris the gardener suggested putting straw over the top of your potatoes, because he got it from his grandfather, and apparently slugs and snails eat straw and they won't touch your potatoes. And I successfully grew potatoes for the first time, thanks to Chris. So there we go.
Brilliant. Well, Chris, I did these tips. I mean, I know, I don't know about these things, but I have heard, keeping the certain parts, not throwing all of the finished veg away, and that you can regrow.
Yes. Now where we got it? Oh yes, here we are. We've got Sid Precious says nature helps those who help themselves. Well, that's what they usually say when a person goes in the army. God helps those who help themselves, and God help those I catch helping themselves. So that's
Mm.
Uh,
Yes, I mean, we're not separate from nature. I mean, that's the whole point. And that's the other thing. We're given the idea that everything's all scarce and limited, and sort of there isn't enough, and that's complete nonsense, because nature is totally abundant, and that's where we should be getting our inspiration from, the natural world rather than the unnatural world.
well, that's it. I mean, I'm not that keen on eating crickets and insects which has got, oh, what's that chemical in it? I can never remember it. And oh dear, I should have done my homework before I started the show. It's got a chemical in it which is can trigger a nasty word which you're not allowed to mention on YouTube, beginning with C.
Ooh. What,
Yes,
crickets have a chemical in them?
yes, yes.
Really? Oh, must be a defense mechanism then.
Somebody will put that in chat, hopefully. I
Okay.
can't remember what the name is. Something like, is it Nicene? Nicene? Some sort of chemical. It'll probably come to me a bit later, but somebody in chat will come out, and it can trigger the nasty word that we're not allowed to mention, beginning with C.
Well, it would be because the body is poisoned, and that's what the symptoms that are given the label that's got a C label. That's what it is. It's not something that you get. It's something that develops within the body when it's struggling to look after itself. There's something else going on that isn't being addressed. There's an underlying something. Now, that something, it will vary for different people depending on their environment and the condition of their, again, internal terrain, and also their emotional, mental, emotional, spiritual kind of aspects of themselves. And that's why the fear thing is used so much, because it keeps us functioning well. It keeps those who buy into the fear porn functioning at a well below their sort of optimal level, so they're not engaging critical thinking, so they're not also taking necessary, well, they won't be taking the right action, and quite often people are just drawn in where they're in this state of fear, and they'll just do anything to help themselves, and they'll listen to other people, and they won't listen to themselves, which is what we're kind of, the thread that's coming through here is learning to trust ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, because the only person who actually knows our body is us. I mean, who can know better than us?
That's right. You get little aches and pains occasionally. You think, oh, well, I know what it is. Yeah, I know what this is. And that type of thing. I mean, I'll get a dodgy knee all of a sudden. I don't know quite why. It flares up occasionally. Then it goes. Don't know why. Just sort of, it's usually after I've ridden my bike, That, and we've got here, true science is that this is true. Stephen Truseeker. True science is the pursuit of truth. 100% agree.
Yes. Exactly. So it's never settled, because there is no end point in learning what truth is. And anyone who thinks they know it all, they're delusional. There's nobody who knows everything. Never will be, because that's, can you imagine what life would be when there's nothing new to learn? That'd be awful. Precisely. I mean, it's never going to happen, because there's always something to learn. Fear certainly triggers all kinds of reactions in the body. So I mean, it does have connections with acidosis, but it does all sorts of damage in the body. I mean, there is the kind of temporary stress wave. Like, oh, you're late, you're running for, you're late for an appointment, so you rush around, you have this temporary stress, then you get whatever it is, it's okay, and it drops, it's gone, because you've achieved what you were trying. So I mean, that's okay. That's the kind of normal ups and downs, and you get the adrenaline rush, you do what you need to do, and you get there. It's when that's prolonged
this is the trouble.
Takes its toll.
And that's the thing. And I think that the other thing that we're getting is fear porn in the media a lot, and it's all to depress you and run you down. Now, I mean, I've got post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, with post-traumatic stress disorder, that keeps you at a fear level all the time. So you've got to learn to deal with it and calm it down. And because when I was a kid, someone walked into the room, went, slapped their hands, I'd run under the table, terrified. I don't know what I was terrified of. And it's just a kind of trigger reaction. That's the thing. But you've got something here from one of your another member of your fan club. Hi, Dawn. I've got your book. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Hey, that's brilliant. Hey, better give it another plug because we've forgotten about it. What's it called now? I can't remember. It's on the back there, isn't it? You better get it because here we are. That's it. That's the book. Where is it available from? Can we queue up outside your house to buy it, or is it available?
No. We it's that big shop that a lot of people don't, big online shop that a lot of people don't like. It can be available. It is available at other online booksellers. So I was going to say I can put it there.
That's a good idea.
That's a better idea, isn't it? Yeah. You know, I mean, it is available through, as I say, other online booksellers. People are finding it, and it's convenient. And I know we shouldn't be settling for convenience. At the same time, we have to recognise where we are, and at the moment, it is one way that it gets access to lots of people. So, or a lot of people get access to it. So, in the same way as the platform we're on is, you know, not ideal. However, it allows us to speak probably to more people than we may do otherwise. So, we use what we've got to our own benefit while we've got it, and at the same time there are plenty of people developing all kinds of new ideas for alternative platforms. It's not being complacent, at the same time not being fearful about using it, but it's not allowing it to to kind of take over our lives. It's finding that balance of recognizing its uses and use it while we've got it.
Details are below here in the deep description below the video, so you'd be able to look at details there. And if for those of you that want to queue up outside Dawn's address, it's no, I'm joking. You're actually waking up tomorrow morning, this great big queue of people. I want your book, please. Right now, now what is this? Do we say camera now? Hope you are. Oh, sorry, this is a personal one there. Right. Now we got here camera. A wise man enjoys being correct, as it helps further his knowledge, whereas a fool can't stand to be corrected for fear of feeling wrong.
Oh yes. That's brilliant. Right. Absolutely brilliant. Yes. And that's, of course, part of the education indoctrination that we, if you get a wrong answer, you're made to feel bad. Oh, it's like wrong. And you've got to be corrected. And so we have this reluctance to be corrected, and we're not allowed to ask questions. And so that's all part of the indoctrination system. And if you want to learn, then you have to be prepared to maybe to be prepared to have learnt something that may not be correct. And if somebody's got a different view, to go, oh, that's interesting, I'll have a look at that. And it may be something you've already looked at and realised isn't correct, in which case to say, well, I've looked at that and I don't think that actually is what, anyway, whatever. And at the same time, if it's something new, say, oh, that's interesting. I mean, that's what I do. And, so that there are different ways of being corrected, though. And there's been a lot of, shall we say, unpleasant ways that people have been trying to correct people like me, who are saying about these, about the other invisible enemies that actually don't exist. And so there's been a lot of pushback against that, and a lot of criticism, and a lot of unpleasantness directed at, and all these labels. So I'm open to being corrected, except when it's something that I know I've looked into. So unless somebody can provide some evidence to the contrary, and nobody has so far. So I mean, it's not just me. I mean, there are loads of us who are saying the so-called invisible enemy that has been blamed for the last few years is, I mean, there's absolutely no evidence for that one, and until somebody comes up with it, say, well, no.
But what gets me is they've got these sort of single word put downs. I mean, I like what Espotomus said here. They use, well, I won't read the rest of it, but you can see that there. And the thing is that, I mean, I've been accused of all kinds of things. One word put downs. And I've always said I'm pro-human being, and the only enemy of civil is, regardless of religion or where they culture, is psychopaths that harm humans. Some psychopaths are okay; they don't harm humans. But the ones that harm humans, I'm prejudiced against. I don't like them. They should be put on an island away from us, live out their lives, and I look on them like crocodiles. Now, I'm not mentioning that could be of any faith, any culture, any religion. It's the psychopaths who are the problem. But people always say, "Oh, you're a this, you're a that, you're a that." Oh, yeah. I just walk away from those sort of people,
Well, the other thing is, if they're just calling you names and you go, well, it's not about, that's not an argument against, or that's not a case against an argument. If you're putting out information and somebody's just calling me a name, you go, well, what's that got to do with what I've said? Find something suitable, to argue what I've just said. I mean, calling me, I mean, there's loads of logical fallacies, and I mean, that's a common one, the ad hominem. It's just, and you go, well, that's a logical fallacy, and you just take no notice. Kind of come up with something useful that challenges what I've said, but calling me a name, just go, well, okay, end off.
It's like at school, you're a sissy. Oh, he's a sissy. That's the same thing. It's playground. But I like what Stephen Truthseeker said. He says, today's real news is Fred the dog made friends with Sammy the squirrel. Oh, we haven't had our guest, the real star of the show, and that is Fred the spider plant. There he is. It's Fred the spider plant.
Oh, hang on a sec.
It's not the spider plant mating season, is it? You've got to be a bit careful with that,
This is one of mine.
What's your one called?
Oh, I haven't got names, but this is only one. I've got lots of these.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've got lots. Yep. They're what they call it when they change sex. Fred's had a lot of young. I think he's friendly with Susie, the spider plant next to it, so that's the reason why. You see, so yes. There we go. So a little bit of raunchy news there. So
yes, I have babies. Whoops, here we go. Can't get them in. Yes, I have babies too. I've yet to plant them, but yes, plants. Very very good for us, for cleaning the. It's these are living. Yeah. It's living part of nature. So
I say good morning every morning. Fred is. I say good morning to Fred every morning, and Susie. So that's it.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't named mine. I'll have to. I do talk to them. I do talk to my plants, though.
Oh, I do. Yes. Have you tried that experiment? I did it on the show. 6 months, year ago, something like that, where I had 3 tumblers of water with rice, equal amounts, and had a picture of Tony Blair and who's that bloke, the World Economic Forum, on the side of one of them. You see. And then I had an attractive lady on another one. And the third one, I just put it aside, just ignored it. And how do you hate a glass of rice in water? I sort of every week I go, yeah. And then I I love the other one. And do you know, that one that I hated, the one that I put aside, I had to take it out of the office. It was minging. The other one was all right. It does work.
Yes, I've heard lots of people have done that experiment. I've yet to try that. I really must. Do you cook the rice first, or is it just
raw rice?
Oh, no. It's just
white rice, and you put the equal amounts. I can't remember how much. You put it in each tumbler of water.
Does it have to be white rice?
No, I think it'd be any rice.
Oh, okay then, because yeah, okay.
I did it on the show. You see, I showed this sort of love that I have, and everybody loved this And we showed Tony Blair and Schwarm and all that, and everyone's going, oh, you know. And the other one wasn't even bothered about it, so I just ignored it. And it's quite surprising. It does work. You know, it really does.
And that just goes to show the energy, the intention, all of that. That's just so important.
Well, that's right. It is.
And that's how we move forward. So as well as exposing problems, you're sort of looking at solutions. And one of the solutions is being truly compassionate and caring and loving for each other. And it's, you know, just shifting out of this, how can I say it? What's been going on in the last few years has been the complete opposite of compassionate and loving. And so that's the solution to kind of, well, ignore the separation and all of that nonsense and say, well, that's not good for us because we are, you know, that's our nature. Sorry, yes.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to chime in, but communism thrives on fearing others and being suspicious of other people, because there's always the sort of fifth column. Oh, you've got to watch out. You've got to be frightened of people. And I remember that during that certain thing that's happening over the last couple of years, I was walking along the road and there's an elderly couple coming towards me, and where I live, it's semi-rural, and they stood facing a hedge. So I was walking past, and I was tempted to say, "Excuse me, do you know where the post office is around here, please?" You know, but there's still now a woman that takes her dog for a walk. Okay, there's no one around. There's trees, flowers, fields around, and she's got. Is she frightened the badgers might sort of cough, or the trees might give off some? Does her dog smell bad? Probably that's the reason.
Oh well.
Perhaps her dog's got an odour problem. That's why she's got a, you know. You just don't know these things, you see.
Crazy. Yes. I mean, that's one of the saddest things over the last few years, and certainly in the beginning, you know, the first couple of years of it all, that how people were acting, reacting. I mean, one of the words I used an awful lot in 2020 and 2021 was surreal, because it felt surreal.
Oh,
people were prepared to walk into the road, to walk around me, because I had my face available for you know, people to see, you know, because I, like you, didn't cover it up, and people would walk into the road to walk around me, and it just totally surreal that I pose a threat. Just unbelievable.
I know it was. And what gets me, what it did answer, though, I could never understand why in 1914 men were falling over themselves to go and get killed in the beginning of World War One, and in World War Two not so much, but people were still keen to go and get killed. Now I do understand, because there's this kind of sheep type mentality, wolf pack mentality.
Right.
And that's what I find very frightening. But going back to what we got here, we got S. Potter says, I tested bottled water. It was 105. Are you sure that bottled water wasn't passed by the local government? 105, eh? For bottled water.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, if it's in a plastic bottle. Going back to what you were saying about, I mean, you're saying communism at the same time. I think it's all forms of totalitarianism. You know, they are. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was just that type. It's all types. I mean, anything that is that has a structure that wants to control the people in whatever, whether it's, you know, fascism or communism. I mean, there's very little difference apart from the structure between those two systems. It's just, you know, they operate slightly differently, but the overall point is to control the people, even though they do it in different ways. And this is what this is all about. It's for us to recognize it's not even about taking back control, because that's still thinking that they have control. And we're saying, actually, no, we are in control of ourselves. We're taking responsibility for ourselves. And I know it's not just like, oh, okay, well, we do that and suddenly it's all over. It's a process. As we learn and we keep implementing different steps, and we keep doing slightly different things and changing and connecting with other people and supporting each other. And then that gives us the confidence to keep doing different things. And each person kind of uses their own talent, because each one of us is unique and we have different abilities and talents and skills. And so together we are far more powerful and far more capable of creating a different kind of way of living. And that's where we are, what we are, I believe what we're dealing with, what we're all working towards. And it's, it's just, I mean, you said before, you kind of like spiritual. So if you've heard the saying, be the change you want to see in the world. It's attributed to Gandhi, although he never actually said those words. He had he wrote something in an article that has a kind of essence of that, but that's a distilled interpretation of what he said. But it is that it's, if you want to see compassion and kindness out in the world, then it's for us to be kind and compassionate and loving and caring, and then that is how you will have, that's the experiences, that's how you will experience the world and other people. And that might sound a bit kind of out there, but that is how this works. It is, I mean,
I agree with you there.
Well, that's good, because it might sound a bit kind of like woo-woo to people.
No, because I mean, I personally, people go, what? I don't believe in government. Sounds weird. I don't believe in government at all, because when you look at it, you see civil service run the country. Government doesn't. Civil servants do, and they're faceless civil servants, and we're paying into a usury scam. And so once you've dealt with the usury scammers, you don't need government. You just need accountable civil servants, people, and a lean, mean civil service, and that's it, a minimal. Because it's strange that this country could run a huge empire, the Victorian times, with a fraction of the civil servants that we got now. So really, I think that government makes people reliant upon others. I mean, for example, when you look at your council tax, I live in an area where there's 55 properties. Now we pay around about 60 to 70 pounds a week council tax. Work it down to a week. You times that by 55, you could get a pretty good service for that, and you get change out of it. I mean, you could have someone walking around with a barrel all day picking up litter. Wouldn't need it, and you could employ a bobby to walk around and see if everything's okay occasionally. I mean, the council do the square root of nothing basically. So all we get is the bins empty once every 2 weeks, and that's it. Oh, and then you get the green waste. You have to pay extra for that, which I don't, because my attitude is I'm as mean as anything to the council. But when you think that's 60, 70 pounds a week, that's a phenomenal amount of money, and you could get a fantastic service. And what happened in Argentina when it went bust in the early 90s, things started to work. Someone went along to the local council with a chain cutter, went, opened it, got all the road repaired stuff. They started mending potholes, and then flowers were starting to appear. People paid to have private tutors and had their own schools. And suddenly the government realised, oh dear, these people begin to realise we're not needed. The old IMF came along, oh, here's the money, But that's the thing. People became responsible for their own areas, for what. And this is the thing with health. We've got to be responsible for our own health, and when you look at people go down, I mean, I know somebody that says, oh, I had a headache. I went to the doctor because I got a headache. What? Things like that. And they, why? If you've got a headache, there's a reason you've got a headache. And if you know your body, you know how you're going to get over it and things like that, and there's all these different remedies. I mean, if you've got a cold, as the old one, is bicarbonate of soda. And again, I'm not medically trained. I'm just giving this as an idea. That is, you take half a teaspoonful of bicarbonate of soda in a beaker of water once every 2 hours for the first day, once every 4 hours for the second day, and then once in the morning and once in the evening on the third day. Don't overdo it. It has a terrible side effect. Well, you go to the loo, but that's passing all the germs out of you, and you get chronic flatulence. So I wouldn't advise inviting people over. But apart from that, and that was proven by Arm & Hammer, who found this out in the 1920s, when the American government, after the FLU thing so it's supposed to be epidemic, but I think we know different, which we'd have to talk about on my naughty show, which is not censored, you see. So we'll have to talk about that. And they put a tender out to American industry to try and find a cure for this, and Arm & Hammer won it. And then certain people we're not allowed to criticise, beginning with P, it sounds like farm, said, "Oh, we can't make profit out of this." So it was quietly forgotten about and pushed aside. But seriously, but Miles are probably because he's anti-salt, because it's salt-based. But I found it does it for me. And I had when you sneeze and you cough at the same time, you think, cold coming. Well, I had that on a couple of years ago on a Monday, and I thought, oh no, I've got the show tonight. And I took this, and it completely went by lunchtime. So that it works, and it will, but might not work for other people. It's everyone's So there we go. Chrissy's cold remedy.
Well, as I said before, I kind of don't really do remedies as such, although I know that if the body's doing that kind of thing, it may need some form of support to help it kind of get through. So it's not about stopping the symptoms, it's about helping the body clear the symptoms and restoring health. So it's nourishing and nurturing the body, supporting the body to do what it does, because the body knows how to look after itself.
Are you you didn't answer this question. Are you vegetarian, or do you eat 10% meat, or how do you look on your diet?
I don't eat meat, haven't done for a very long time. That's a personal choice. It's just my particular preference. It works for me, and I don't advocate any form of diet. I think people have to decide for themselves what works for them. And there's so much in the way of there's so many arguments, there's so much fighting about the right diet, and I don't, as I say, I don't advocate anything. My own way of eating is it's plant-based. As I said, I haven't eaten meat for a very long time, and it works for me. If it stopped working for me, I would look at changing it, because there's no point making myself poorly or sort of weakening my system. I know it doesn't work for everybody. It sometimes doesn't work long term. I don't know. So as I say, I'm not.
You know your body.
Sorry.
You know your own body.
Yes, and as I say, it works for me, and it's just there are a lot of people who are very adamant and very sort of strong and have very strong views about certain things, and it may not be the best way of approaching it, because then you're putting a certain type of energy out towards what you're eating and it could also be about denying, well, I've got to eat this because this is good for me, even if you don't actually happen to enjoy the look of what you're about to eat. I mean, you have to look at, like I said before, you have to look at the food and think, this looks brilliant. I love, to really enjoy it, so that you get getting the pleasure from eating, because eating's not just about putting calories in to make energy. It's so much more than that. And yet, a lot of people do this kind of fast food, and they're running around, and it's just, stuff something in, and that's not nourishing your body.
You're right. But you, as my late father used to say, you eat with your eyes. It's true. You look at something and it's got to be appetizing. And I think that I mean, what I do now is that I'm very much into an earthing blanket. Again, I haven't got shares in it, but since I bought an earth blanket, oh, hey, hang on, the light's gone off again. He does this every week, don't worry, and it'll come back again. Every week it does that. It's a bit late this week.
Wow.
I think YouTube HQ, they're saying, hang on, boys, oh, hang on, the klaxons have gone off. He said something naughty, you know. But no, an earth, perhaps it is the word earthing blanket, but, and they are, you don't have to spend a fortune on them. There are cheaper ones available. eBay is a good place to have a shift there, have a look for them. And I've found I go into a much deeper sleep. But what I do now, I try not to eat after 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. And then I have breakfast about 8 o'clock next morning. So I've fasted for 14 hours.
Mm.
And you don't notice it because you're asleep during most of that time. And I believe that if you eat late, what happens is this is my own personal belief, is that your body is busy
Digesting.
Thanks, that's the word. Digesting your food. And what will happen is when your body's not digesting food, it looks at healing. And I think that is, the thing. And you do sleep. There is a huge difference. I don't know if you've tried an earthing blanket, but you sleep really deep. It's really quite, and you start to have weird dreams at the beginning when you use them because you are earthed. But I swear, Brian, to me, I think they're fantastic.
Yes, I mean that's one of the areas of for people to look into what we're exposed to in the sort of am I allowed to use those 3 letters, those particular 3 letters, the E plus the M plus the F? Oh, that's one way of doing it, isn't it? So yeah.
Yes.
So then we are bombarded by them. It's also not to be drawn into fear, at the same time to do what we can to minimize our exposures, because then we are we're looking after ourselves, we're nourishing and nurturing ourselves and loving our bodies and doing we're doing what we can to help ourselves, not doing it from a place of fear. Because I've got to do it because otherwise this will get me. It's turning that round so that you are then nurturing and looking after yourself.
Well,
so that, to just do the best that you can. And earthing is one way, however you do it, whether you, now's not quite the time of year, but we're getting close to it, certainly in England, where we can, take shoes and socks off and go and stand in the garden.
Yeah, I'm barefoot during the garden. But I'll tell you, and I hope you don't mind me, but I've noticed people that have the good diet have got beautiful complexions, and you've got a fantastic complexion. And I think your diet must be right for you.
Thank you. I've always, I've never had kind of problems. I don't know what it is. I haven't had problem skin, but thank you.
But no, because I've noticed
the laughing must be good.
A bad diet. You look at these people on bad diets; they've always got terrible blotchy complexions. Terrible. And now we got Robert. Hang on, we've got Robert in here. Pemra, I don't know. He's always talking about somebody in chat. Sorry, mate, but he's a regular guest. Hello, Robert, and thanks for the emails, mate. I'll answer them. And now it says, this is Nathan. Insofar as trusting the alternatives, I think much, not all, of alternative health is covertly implanted into truther narratives by the usual suspects to test gullibility.
Yes, there is. To say there is, the mainstream and the alternative, I think there are more aspects to it all than just the two, because there is what is regarded as the alternative health people who are putting out some misleading information about certain things and promoting certain things that aren't necessarily beneficial for health, and they're kind of helping keep people in a certain level of fear. And in some cases, they're actually putting out more fear porn because they're trying to make us fearful of something that isn't the case either. And so they're not helpful. And also some of these alternative health people, and I'm not mentioning names. I mean, there are some genuine, but they're not alternative. They're the real healers. But this alternative health community, they almost always have stuff to sell you. You know,
oh yes, the
take those
Glastonbury
products,
Brigade.
take our products, and it's not to say that some of them might not be beneficial, but if they're trying to sell you something, I would suggest you kind of just be wary, because they're selling natural things that supposedly kill the invisible enemies. And at the same time, if they're saying, oh, we'll take this because this will kill the invisible enemies, you go, well, why would I need to take anything that kills anything? Because if it kills something that's in my body, it's not going to be good for me. There are, I mean, you know, sometimes, you know, natural things are regarded as anti something, and you know, that's not the reason to have these natural. I mean, if you're eating an orange, then you're eating an orange, you know, and it's forget whether it's only got whatever it is, vitamin C. That's nonsense. It's, if you're eating an orange, you're eating a whole food, so you're getting a whole range of nutrients that probably haven't even been isolated, recognized, labeled, or whatever. You're eating a whole food that is grown from nature. And for me, personally, I will eat an orange instead of taking any powders. I'm afraid that's my personal preference. It's, you know, people will do what they feel is right for them. And you know, I know we don't grow oranges, so of course they're imported. I appreciate that. At the same time, it's my preference to eat either an orange or to squeeze lemon in the water. So that's my.
Tell you what gets on my nerves though is the fake spiritual, and that is the, you know, what I call the Glastonbury Brigade. You know, oh yes, you need a Hoppy Indian dream catcher which costs only £45, well, I'll tell you something off air. I won't tell you on air, but some of it is hysterical. It really is. And if you want to make a lot of money off of gullible people, it's sort of. But that's interesting. Rose hips have been. That's right. They found it out during World War II.
Yes, I mean, and again, they're foods. You know, a lot of berries, a lot of fruits. You know, so I mean, we don't have such a variety of fruits in the winter. That's, you know, I tend to eat mainly kind of fruits and vegetables. And again, at the same time, depends what you call fruits, but certain things that we call vegetables are actually the fruiting bodies of the plant. So things like peppers and cucumbers. I mean, I know we say, you know, tomatoes are fruits, but so, you know, they're sort of fruits, you know, and they're the fruits of the plant. So they are, you know, to call them vegetables is, you know, dubious. At the same time, they are foods and they are whole food. So you're getting a whole range of compounds. This is not even compounds. It's the whole food, and they work. You know, they function synergistically. Your body recognizes a food, you know, and deals. Not even processes, that's probably the wrong word. Your body recognizes and assimilates and absorbs whatever it needs from food, and that's the way I approach. And that's not to say I only ever eat raw. I don't mean that at all. And I minimize processed foods as well, especially now. And I don't eat any of the fake meat things. So because I know people are just, you know, well, if you know, you don't, you know, you eat fake meat. It's like, no, I don't, because I don't want to touch that stuff. You know, there's more and more dubious as to what's actually in those things. So,
well, I agree with you. I agree with you. And, I've actually got a picture here if I can find it. Here it is. This is a bird feeder that I put up in my garden, What I do, I get cups and I fill it with fat and I mix it with wild bird food. And when I say wild bird food, I mean the birds are livid when I don't feed them. You see, so that's why wild bird food. And
Oh,
you know,
okay.
you see those cups there. Now, I bought this butter, which is supposed to be imitation. Was it plant-based butter? Okay, and I had a weak moment. You know, you have a weak moment in the supermarket, and I thought, oh, you know, I'm at a difficult age, and you know, and I just thought, well, and it was in my fridge for ages, so I decided to mix this the butter up. The birds won't touch it, not touch it at all. That tells you something, doesn't it?
Mm.
Now, I took a picture of those feeders, some time ago, about a couple of months back. They're almost the same now. I haven't touched it.
Oh, okay.
Even when it's really cold, still wouldn't. Robin went up to it, looked at it, pecked it a bit, then cleared off. Wouldn't have it.
Mm.
But
Don't recognise it as food. I know. I know.
no,
I
so that's
see.
something, doesn't it? And
Mm.
we got Cat Holly says, I have an under sink water filter too, so all drinking water is double filtered. And then she says here a word that I can never pronounce. I take I,
Diatomaceous.
thanks, Dawn.
That's all right.
Uh, earth powder to detox heavy metals and colloidal silver. Yes, I bought a colloidal silver machine from Nexus magazine. All it was a battery with 2 bits of silver. I got done for any ailments, especially for staving off colds, etc. And now this is an interesting one from Nathan. Re dandelion. I had 2 blood clots in 2021. I'm sorry about that, mate. And removed them using dandelion root, ginger root, and turmeric. Yes, turmeric's very powerful. No GPs or doctors. Good for you. Good for you.
And
And
again, dandelion, ginger, turmeric. I mean, you know, these are natural things that then provide the body with what it needs to help itself. You know, that's the point, that nobody and nothing heals. The body heals itself. I mean, yeah.
that's right. And then we got here Celtic sea salt is all the rage. Yes, that is. And we got Sid Precious says, I hate fruit. What?
Yeah,
You hear what fruit said about you, you know? Sorry.
yeah, I know some. Yeah, that's fine. I respect that. That's, you know, yeah, we're different, and it's as I say, I'm not saying that, you know, anybody has to do anything. You have to do what feels right for you. All I'm saying is, you know, because I was asked, I was giving the answer that that's the way I eat. It works for me.
As Potter says, take sea moss or Celtic salt with filtered water. That's it. And oh yeah, with zero water filters, I put nutrients back in. There's some little
Right.
you can, but you can put a little bit of I'll put pink Himalayan salt in, just a few grains, just to give the old, you know. I use gravity fed. This is the other one. This is Kat. She says gravity fed British Birkfield water, because I think because you've got Berkey in America and Birkfield. I think
Right.
they were the same company and split. I'm not sure. Water
Oh, okay.
even gets rid of what?
Cryptosporidium.
Cysts. What on earth's that? Never heard of it.
Yeah, I think I think it's cryptosporidium. I think the R should be before the Y. But yeah, I've heard of that again. I don't know what cryptosporidium is. Is it a bacterium? And if it is, why would you? Well, there's a reason for the bacterium to be there. So again, yes, I mean, filtered as much as possible to get the pollutants out, and the pollutants are not the invisible enemies. The pollutants are the chemicals and whatever else is still in there, because it's not filtered out at the so-called treatment plants. I mean, if the water's going to be treated to make it safe for drinking, you'd expect it to actually be properly filtered there, and it's not. Oh, and the other thing I do, again, because I only have distilled water for drinking, is that I've got a filter on my shower. You can buy filters now. I mean, that doesn't make the water kind of as pure as a distiller, but it still takes out some of the stuff so that the water is less laden with chemicals. So again, because your whole body's, when you're having a shower, your whole body's exposed to that water, and it's not just what goes inside your body, but what you're exposing your skin to, because your skin can absorb stuff. So you want to be kind to your body when you wash it.
Well, I saw a bloke. There was a woman. She was on a program once, and she went to this spring. And there's all sort of like green moss around the sides, and you sort of place you think, not about this. And she washed in this spring. She said, you've got to wash in the spring at least once every so often. It's incredibly healthy because you're getting all the minerals and that. And this is what I put back, minerals into the zero water filter, into zero water. And she said it actually, it's a very healing type thing to do. And it's what our ancestors used to do. But we've got Robert here. He's a regular on the show. He's working at the moment. Hello, Rob. Hello, mate. Good evening, one and all. You're greatly missed, Robert. So, hope you make a comeback soon. But work gets in the way. What's it? Work is the curse of the drinking classes, isn't it? That's it. Now it says here, where are we? You can eat the weed plantain as well. That's right. Yes, plantain. Not to be confused with plantain. There's a plantain. It's sticky, isn't it? I think plantain, isn't it? The one that sticks to you.
Plantain. Oh, what, yes. The sticky weed? Oh,
sticky. Yes, it's called. No, I won't say what it's called. It sounds a rude name, but no, actually, it's you can. It's not very nice, actually. But I've actually mixed it up and put it in my sandwiches. But I don't eat bread anymore, but I used to. But that's the other thing, I've cut out bread. I don't eat bread anymore.
I don't eat much. It's rare, but yeah.
Now, this is an interesting one. Sid Prisha says, I thought fluoride was only removed by reverse osmosis. No, mate, it's zero water does it as well. Here it is. As a drop of the. Would you like some? Yeah, so hang on. Very good it is. Very excellent. Now we got here nitrates.
Nitrites. In what context? What is the what do you mean nitrates? What's the? I'm not sure what the question is. Sorry.
I don't know either.
Stephen Truth Seeker. What?
This is an interesting one from Camera. Your camera never lies. That was by Bucks Fizz, wasn't it? I hate to quote a Disney song, but let it go. Whatever is annoying you, upsetting you, causing you fear, stress, or any negative emotions, just let it go. Leave it behind you. Yes.
I understand that. It depends on what it is that you or the story you have attached to whatever the fear or the stress or the negative emotion. It's easy to say just let it go. We often carry the fears and so-called negative emotions kind of in our bodies, and it's not always easy to just say, oh, let it go. It's to understand what's behind it. And I know what you mean by negative emotion. And again, it's if we have those kind of feelings that are given that we think of as negative, it's then we're saying, oh, it's bad, and then you're kind of attaching something that you think is bad to you, and so you're then thinking that you're bad, or that there's a problem if you've got what's called a negative emotion. It's to kind of feel the emotion and allow it without creating a whole story behind it and why you have to hang on to it. So I know what you mean, and it is to let it go. It's just it's not always as easy to just say, oh, no, let it go, because you could be just you could be kind of just saying let it go and thinking you're letting it go, but it might just sit there. It depends. It depends what it is underneath all this fear and stress. And I mean, that's partly why I've been talking about over the last 4 years of helping people not be afraid of so-called invisible enemies, because there is nothing to be afraid of there. And so therefore we don't have to be afraid of something that just isn't a cause of anything. So we can absolutely let that go. There are different layers of what may be underneath, you know, the kind of emotions and feelings, what could be underneath these different sort of fears and stresses. So it's, you know, I mean, as I say, I totally understand where you're coming from. And, you know, just if you're feeling, you know, like you were saying before, like with high blood pressure, or if you're feeling a bit stressed, yes, just go outside and just calm yourself, relax. And at that point, you may have a clearer idea as what's underneath it. Because when you're wound up and stressed, you can't think clearly and you can't work out what it is that's causing you the problem. So to relax, and then you might get intuitive insights. And that's where you start trusting yourself, and you start hearing the messages that your body is telling you as to what could be behind why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So there's all sorts of layers to this. I mean, I just, you know, I find this whole thing fascinating. I just know that we're different, and there will be different reasons for each of us. And although I don't actually know what Disney song it is that says "Let It Go." I mean, there's a Beatles song "Let It Be," where just, you know, let it be, kind of let things be as they are. So that's not the same thing. As I say, I don't know where that Disney song comes from. So
yes, but the thing is, I 100% agree with you there, Dawn, because it's like when a person's got depression. You know, I've actually battled with it for a little while, and someone saying, pull yourself together, pull out of it. It's the worst thing they can say. You know, it's not understanding what it is, because there's certain things that trigger in your mind, and it used to be this fallacy that it was too much of a certain chemical. It's complete rot, absolute nonsense. It isn't. It's certain things that stimulate the brain, that trigger the brain, and things like that. And there's a hell of a lot in it. Now the other thing is rife frequency machine healing. Yes. And Sid Precious says garlic pearls help. Oh, you suck garlic? Well, as long as you don't suck a fisherman's friend, I suppose you'll be all right, won't you? So there we go. Now we got
real garlic works just as well. So yeah, so you just have to make sure that whoever you're with eats the same, or eats something with garlic as well. Otherwise,
yes. What's this? Sid Precious says piles. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Well, actually, Dr. Fleetwood's got a cure for that as well.
well,
yes,
no
and
surprise.
it's a natural. It's from a tree. I can't think what it is now, but it cures it. Takes a long time. Cures it. Yes. So there we go.
Yes, don't sit down quite so much. Probably will help. Do some exercise, maybe. I don't know.
Exercise does help as well, but sitting on a bike doesn't help, does it?
Yes, well, yes and no, and again, you know, again, depends what's underlying, what's actually the cause, why you know, that has presented itself. You know, there could be underlying digestive problems that, you know, make it difficult to go to the loo. So, you know, and that could be part of it. So it could be a dietary thing that has a knock-on effect with, you know. So again, there's no single answer to any of these things, and that actually I appreciate a lot of people find really frustrating to say, well, if it's not that, what else is it? Because they're looking for a single something that they can then deal with, and go, well, it's not always a single something. It's always a, you know, a whole combination of different factors that are involved, and it'll be different. You know, that combination will be different for each person, because, you know, we are not just exposed to kind of physical differences in our physical environment as well as our internal environment. We are different emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You know, that side of things is different, which is why even in a household where you've got everyone living, eating the same food, exposed to the same environment, their health may be somewhat different, but that could be to do with each person having a different way of thinking and ideas, different belief systems. So somebody who is fearful of the invisible enemies is always going to be thinking that they've got them and they've got something wrong with them, whereas somebody who isn't fearful just isn't going to do that, isn't going to believe that they can catch something, and that could be in the same household. So if you've got different people with different ideas, different belief systems, you will still get different manifestations of health or
Well,
lack thereof.
I had a full head of hair before the show. Look what's happened. See, I'm not bald. I've just got a very wide parting. That's all it is. I'm not bald at all. I sport this.
Well, I'm not going to feel guilty for giving you stress. I'm not going to do that.
Camera, could you put me in touch with Royal Rafe? That might help. There's only one trouble with that. You'd have to take a shovel because he died about. He was killed. Was it in the 50s? Was it? He died. So
he died a long time ago. Yeah.
And we've got here. Sid Precious says, "Great guest, Chris." I would agree with you there. Totally, 100% agree with you.
Thank you.
And, well,
I hope I've answered your questions, Sid, and in a way that is helpful, because I'm not sure. Well, it's not even about answering questions, but I hope I've helped with the questions that you've asked.
Yeah, well, I think this is the fastest 2 hours. It's a really fast. You wouldn't believe we've been on 2 hours, would you? And we've got here Chris the gardener says, if we're talking cakes, we can't forget a nice Victoria sponge.
I'm afraid I'm a fruitcake. I'm a fruitcake girl. I prefer fruit. I love fruitcake. Ooh.
I am a fruitcake. Oh. So honestly, I identify as a fruitcake.
Okay. It's a lot better than some of the things that people are identifying with at the moment. So yes.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Crazy.
But, well, have you look up? So I'll keep this strictly between you and I. Don't tell anybody else. But I thought of joining the library. You know, it's a man's world in the library. But no, I thought, well, if it's free, I might as well join it, because last time I went into a library was 5 years ago, and it was before I bought my smartphone, and I went to Argos, and I forgot to take the number, and the person said, "Sorry, unless we've got the number, we can't pick up the article." And I said, "Oh dear, what a shame," but not in exactly those words. So I went to the library and I said, "Look, can I get on the computer so I can find out on my email what the number is, you see, from Argos?" And one says, "Show me your library card." She said, "That's 25 years out of date." So she's, "Oh, you have to join." I go, "All right." And she gets to this forward. It says, "Was it? Are you? Was it? What nationality are you? Are you this? Are you that? Are you gender? All these different genders." That's I tick all the boxes just for a laugh, you know. So, no wonder I put in brackets only on Wednesdays, you know. So I gave it back to her, and she sort of went, I'm positive. So I said, "Well, can I get on the computer?" "No, I'm afraid you can't. We've got to send it by post." And I'm sure she lobbed it in the bin, because I never heard anything from her, you see. So anyway, I went back to Argos and I saw somebody else. The bloke said, "I'll give us a postcode." "Here it is." So I was all right. But if you look up Hertfordshire Library, just look at the genders, and apparently there's one. What's it? Titles now. It's MX. What is MX when it's out? There's Ms, MX. Is it a person that identifies as a push bike, a BMX or something? Or I mean, what is it? What is it? And
yes, I have no idea. And
yeah.
And there are, I'm going to horrify people. I know. No, I mean, seriously, there are only two genders, you know, there's male, there's female. That's biology. That's real science. That's biology.
Do archaeologists go down and say, "Oh, it's this, what we just found the skeletons of one of 700 genders"? No, it's bonkers. I think we got to laugh and keep laughing at it.
Yes.
It's funny. It's very, very funny. It really is. I just don't. I don't know. But
Well, they say laughter is the best medicine, don't they? And you know, people can. Norman Cousins laughed his way back to health in Anatomy of an Illness. So yeah, I mean, it's you know, laughter is important. It's our whole demeanor, and you know, if we're kind of holding ourselves, you know, we're all down and everything, you know, your whole attitude, and you're scrunching your body up. Whereas if you're feeling, you know, happy and lively, you're opening up, and then, you know, you're breathing better. And it's there's so much in physiology, not just the sort of mental state, because it's all connected. And having a good laugh is really good for you. A good old laugh, you know.
I had 3 uncles that were stand-up comedians, so it was full of laughter as a kid, and they were just well, you know, so I got because every week I normally start the show with a joke. I didn't this week because I thought, well, I didn't know how you'd take it, so I thought, well, I better be a bit.
Oh no!
In future, it's all right if I crack a gag at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Smash it. I might even tell a constipated vicar gag if I can get away with it. You never know. So there we go. But thanks, Dawn.
Well, we had talk about piles, so who knows? I mean, yeah, but yeah.
That's anyway. Right. That's right. What is it? You know, what was that? Viz magazine. Was it Giles and his piles? Because that was one of the magazines I used to read. I used to enjoy Viz.
Yeah.
Right, strange boy. Anyway, thanks, Dawn, for coming on. Can you come on again, please? I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure look at our audience. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Good. And
thank you.
I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say before we sign off for this week. And
thank you for inviting me, and it's been a fun conversation. As you say, 2 hours have gone really quickly. So I mean, there's just so much more, you know, to all of what we've been talking about. And you know, it is important to not live in fear, and that's because that's what they want. So that's what we should do. The opposite. This is one time where we really should do the opposite of what they're trying to push on us. There you go. And having a laugh, playing music, being out in nature, being with people, you know, actually connecting with real people, giving lots of hugs, you know, just being real and being real, you know, no
I agree.
nonsense.
I agree. And as I say, next week we've got Krista Garner and the bowler-hatted farmer coming on.
Ooh.
He's from Suffolk, you know. So there we go, the bowler-hatted farmer. And of course, we won't be telling any naughty jokes at all. It'll all be very clean, very polite. See, we don't tell smutty jokes. Well, I don't, do I? Would I tell a smutty joke? You see, that's the thing. Anyway, thank you very much. And YouTube allowing, I hope the klaxons, we haven't set the klaxons off, will be same time, same place next week. And remember, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.